Welcome to this video introduction covering the basics of foot and mouth disease. Of all the natural or man-made disasters which could befall the U.S. dairy industry, none would be more devastating than the introduction of a rapidly spreading foreign animal disease like foot and mouth. This video will describe how foot and mouth is spread between animals, the types of regulatory actions that may be taken during an outbreak, and how you may be able to protect your farm and even ship milk during an outbreak through the Secure Milk Supply Plan. The foot and mouth disease virus, while harmless to people, is the most contagious disease in the animal kingdom. The virus affects all animals with cloven feet, such as cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs, causing blistering on the feet, mouth, and teats. It is not a public health or food safety concern. There is no treatment. Historically, control has consisted of quarantine herds, testing animals, and depopulation of positive herds and adjacent herds. The 2001 British foot and mouth outbreak demonstrated what can happen when a foreign animal disease, like foot and mouth, is introduced into a modern country. An estimated 10 million animals were depopulated from about 2,000 farms. Many animals were depopulated not because they were infected, but as a precaution because they were close to infected herds. The total economic losses have been estimated at approximately $13 billion US. There was also an exceptionally high rate of suicides for both affected producers and people participating in the depopulation. Next, we will watch an excerpt from ABC that demonstrates the personal cost that many British livestock producers experienced.
In this little town called Hatherley, there are not many tourists anymore. But 5.5 months after the worst animal slaughter in England's history, there are subtle signs of recovery. It is not easy for Peter Walters to come to this part of his farm. All of his animals are buried here. 150 cows, 300 sheep, 400 baby lambs. They are just a fraction of the 3.7 million animals destroyed across England, but they were his.
I care about the animals.
When we last visited Peter Walters 5 months ago, the British government had just completed its deadly work here.
They're not destroying me. No way.
They told him he could not leave his farm for a week.
No way.
The pain was still fresh.
Could foot and mouth disease occur in the United States? It already has. Since 1900, there have been 6 U.S. outbreaks, the largest in 1914, when the virus gained entry into the Chicago stockyards. The most recent outbreaks were in California in 1924 and 1929. Since the turn of the century, these outbreaks have involved 25 different states, nearly 6,000 herds, and more than 300,000 animals. Now that cattle, feed, and product move more quickly than they did at the beginning of the century, foot and mouth today would spread much faster. Computer modeling by the University of California estimates that if foot and mouth were introduced today, every hour it went undetected would ultimately cost responding agencies and the industry $565 million in lost product, destroyed cattle, and depopulation costs. Given the destruction and despair faced in the UK during the 2001 outbreak and how other outbreaks have been handled around the world, the United States is considering other disease management options besides massive depopulation. In a small outbreak, depopulation is one approach to stop the spread of the disease. However, in a large, widespread outbreak affecting many herds in many states, vaccination is another disease control tool being considered by USDA. More information about FMD vaccination will be covered in more detail in another video. As shown here in red, we can see that at any given time there are actually more countries in the world infected with foot and mouth disease than are free of it. These infected countries serve as a reservoir, sporadically causing disease outbreaks in areas designated as free. Some major outbreaks in countries designated as free include a second United Kingdom outbreak in 2007, separate outbreaks in 2010 in South Korea and Japan, and Egypt in 2012. So what does foot and mouth disease look like in cattle? As the name suggests, the virus causes blisters on the skin in the mouth and on the tongue. These blisters can break open, leaving painful ulcers. In advanced cases, much of the skin or mucous membranes can slough, leaving large exposed areas. Also, as the name suggests, the disease can also attack the feet, causing blisters, ulcers, and sloughing of the skin, especially between the claws and at the margin of the skin and the hooves. Lastly, blisters and ulcers can frequently be found on the teats. While foot and mouth disease only rarely kills adult animals, these painful lesions cause animals to go off feed, causing their weight gain and milk production to plummet. So how can the foot and mouth disease virus be spread to healthy cattle? An infected cow can spread the disease through saliva, breath, or the fluid from blisters on the cow's mouth, teats, or feet. This type of direct transfer can occur across a fence line within a herd or across a fence line from a neighboring herd. The virus is also found in the urine and manure of infected cattle, in their milk, and even in bull semen, including frozen semen. So you can see that virtually any bodily fluid from an infected cow can infect other animals. Perhaps the most important thing to know about foot and mouth disease, however, is that normal appearing cattle can spread the disease, shedding the virus in bodily fluids 2 to 4 days before clinical signs appear. This is why biosecurity measures are so important during a foot and mouth outbreak in an area. Critical information for producers is that the foot and mouth disease virus can also be carried on equipment from infected farms to uninfected farms. The virus can be carried on clothing, like boots and coveralls, and on vehicles and equipment shared between farms. Dairy visitors, which can carry the virus on their vehicles or clothing, include feed deliveries and livestock trailers, vet trucks, foot trimmers, dead haulers, and service and repair personnel. One of the biggest concerns is virus transfer on milk tankers, which might be traveling to other dairies, or which cross paths with contaminated trucks at the processing plant. Now that you know how the virus can be spread, you might be wondering, can I use this information to protect my herd during an outbreak? In the United Kingdom, farms practicing good biosecurity procedures were 5 times less likely to become infected. The take-home message is that you absolutely can protect your herd during an outbreak. But even if a dairy farmer can prevent the disease from entering his farm, will he be able to ship milk during an FMD outbreak? During a foot and mouth disease outbreak, control areas would be established to limit disease spread. In these areas, movement of animals and animal products would be restricted by stop movement or quarantine orders. This would include raw milk movement from dairy farms to their processors. Recognizing that this would be devastating to the area's dairy industry, the USDA and collaborating states have developed a plan called the Secure Milk Supply Plan. The program is voluntary. It provides tools to help you protect your herd. The goal of the SMS plan is continued movement of milk and milk products. The SMS plan provides guidance for producers, haulers, processing plants, and those issuing movement permits during an outbreak. Future videos will cover more of the details of the SMS plan. Yes, you can protect your herd and your business during an outbreak. Talk with your processor field representative or State Department of Agriculture about participating in the Secure Milk Supply Plan, or visit securemilksupply.org for more information.